Thanks. Okay. I don't think we're seeing. What brings you to something else? Are there any issues you hear about What do you call it? Awesome. Well, look, I'm running for state homeowner. If you want to join the campaign, I can use your volunteer for that meeting. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. I also didn't know one, two, three, four.
Well, no, I had to switch her over to Zoom at the last minute.
I hate equipment.
So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for being here this evening. You may hear that we do just barely have some sound coming in across the room so that we'll be able to hear Angie when she joins us virtually here at 6:45 sharp. So we have just a few minutes before our guest speakers are going to start. So let's go ahead and start getting into this. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and I'll pause this music so that...
Thank you.
Of course.
We couldn't hear you over that.
Well, I'm actually relieved because I was worried that that wasn't traveling well at all. Because up here you cannot hear it. But I guess it sounds a lot better in the back. Okay, that's excellent. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. We do have another lovely crowd. Very, very grateful you're all here. It's been a very busy week for some of us with lots of events going on. And so I do appreciate you taking the time to be here in particular. The exciting thing tonight, we do have somebody joining us who's been all over the news for the last week or so, which is State Representative Angie Nixon. Who is a candidate for the Florida Senate. She is in a primary against Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. And so we're going to hear from her. If you hadn't seen on the news, she first of all did appear during the redistricting session on the floor and brought a bullhorn down to protest the actions that were being taken by the Florida legislature. Fascinatingly, this bullhorn has motivated the Florida Legislative Ethics Committee to rouse to action for the first time in something like 40 years, right? Yes, yeah, 40 years of watching Florida ethics, and this is the thing that gets them to go. So I am deeply appreciative of the energy that Representative Nixon has brought to the campaign trail, that she has brought this fight and this pep and this strength to a race that I think is going to only benefit from having more of that be part of the conversation. You might also have even seen recently some polls that show that these candidates are starting to pull ahead of Republicans. And there are a lot of Florida folks who are getting very excited right now. I'm excited too. Those of you who follow me on Facebook, you may have seen I put out a map that I actually researched and published myself that it applied the partisan split that we saw in the special election, right? So roughly, 95% Democrat retention, 92% Republican retention, and then a split of 61-39 for our non-party affiliated voters. And if we did see that result across the state, our party would still gain seats even with this gerrymandered map. So it is important that although this is awful, that we recognize the frustrating elements, there is still a future for our party as long as we continue working and producing the way that we have together. So I think there are lots of reasons to still be optimistic, and I'm really looking forward to this next phase. So just to briefly touch on a couple things. We have launched our new solidarity.tech webpage. As you may recall, we spent a lot of time talking about a tech plan and how exactly we would get there. About 6 weeks ago, the state Florida Democratic Party was kind enough to just kind of drop off a tech package to lots of clubs and caucuses that allows us to go ahead and put together that website that a lot of us have been asking for a long time. So at south-tampa-democrats.solidarity.tech, you will be able, and it is long, and the board will discuss getting a southtamadems.com shortcut once we're committed to that. But that does allow you to see our calendar. It does allow you to see the links to our Facebook group and to our Instagram page. It allows you to pay your online dues right away. So also, if you would like to have an event added to that calendar, you can, of course, send an email to the southtampadc@gmail.com email address. That is linked in every one of the newsletters that we send out. So if you go ahead and have an event you'd like us to put up on that calendar, you can let us know with that email, and this is going to allow us to really centralize our operations as a group.
Could you repeat the email address?
Yeah, it's South Tampa DC.
S-O-U-T-H?
Sorry?
Forward.
S-O-U-T-H, Tampa, T-A-M-P-A, D-C, and that's all just letters together, @gmail.com. And that email is also have been formally submitted, and we were inoffensive enough to not be the first problem at the very least. So we are very optimistic about that being resolved. And I do want to make sure I'm mentioning the Kennedy King Gala this year. This is going to happen on August the 8th of 2026. Now, in the past, sometimes there have been arrangements where this club has done a sponsorship or a half table. I am open to talking to the DEC a little bit more about that, but based on their pricing right now, even a half table sponsorship for this event would run $2,500, and that would basically be our entire annual budget at this time. So early bird tickets are $175 per individual to start. And we might consider doing some sort of voucher or something like that, where we could offer, club members $25 or $50 off on that. But I don't think that we're going to be pursuing the full table sponsorship route, where we invest $2,000 on a single night in a hotel.
Where do you find?
Let's see. Unfortunately, I pulled it up and I do not have that right off the top of my head. You do put in. Correct, yeah. We'll also make sure, it will be on Mobilize as well. But and I also do recommend those early bird tickets because I do believe they're going to go up as high as 300. 200. Okay? So now it is 6:48. And we are still waiting for representatives to sign on to the students map. So hopefully that will just be another moment or two. Yeah, let me just do it real quick.
No. We should probably do something with those webpages. Yeah, it's probably when I saw the students like Facebook.
So this is, it's quite long-winded, the website I got this from on secure.mgp.van. So we will add it to the calendar and include a link on the website. And you can also find it if you just put in Kennedy King Gala, Hillsborough County. And it's actually the third entry, the one that's hosted on secure.mgpvan.com, where I believe you can make the actual purchase. It's also listed on Mobilize in some places, but that also, they are transitioning away from Mobilize at the county level, so I wouldn't be surprised if those links are no longer active.
The link is in the email.
Yeah. Yes, it will be. It'll be in our newsletter, and it will be on the calendar for the website.
Can I make a quick announcement?
Absolutely, please.
Betsy is going to have a phone bank tomorrow night at her home at 6 o'clock for the Plant City City Commission election, which is May 26th. So
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, early voting starts Saturday, Friday and Saturday, so this will be like the last to get out the vote kind of phone back, so if you can come over and
It's always lots of food and wine and it's a good time.
Yeah.
Like it, more Democrats.
and if postcards too.
And I do understand that we do have a real chance to flip this commission this
Right.
year because
That's
we
right.
have seen such strong overperformances in the special elections. Is this one of those situations where it's nonpartisan but they are registered Democrats that we're working for, or are they labeled Democrat on the ballot?
No, it's not nonpartisan.
I think they are labeled Democrats.
Yeah.
Each have a
Okay.
preference.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, we do have identified candidates that the county is supporting.
Henry Smith and Cameron Henry.
Yes. And truthfully, the big reason that life has been so hard for Democrats in Florida lately, in my opinion, is that the Republicans have been a lot better at building up their bench, winning those kind of local elections and having people who are working in their community who can go forward. And so the way that we get there as the Democratic Party is by supporting these kind of efforts. And Betsy has always done a fabulous job with those phone banks. I have seen many, many smiles and photos from him, and so I highly recommend it.
Yeah, we gotta help our neighbors out in the East County, so please come.
Now, at this time, Representative Nixon, I suppose, is running a few minutes late, because, you know, I'm not sure entirely why. Again, I was in touch with her staff this afternoon. However, at this time, I'm not seeing her calling in just yet. So I suppose right now, we also do have our other guest speakers this evening. Ben Braver over here, running for State House District 65. And then we also have Mr. Stefan Mormon over here, who's running for governor. And Stefan, actually, I do have your presentation ready to go. Are you comfortable going on?
Yes.
All right. Well, everybody, let's please welcome Stefan Mormon, our neighbor, member, and candidate for governor.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan. Hi. I'm running for Florida governor. And actually, funny now that I'm actually here with you all because actually Mr. Filion is here, who actually taught me mathematics at Robertson High School when I graduated senior year. So it's funny how everything comes full circle. But yeah, so I'm running for Florida governor, and from the slides, I want to let you guys know that my campaign website up here is www.sn4flgovernor.org, and my donation site is there as well, the Act Blue, as well as I'll probably pass out of my flyers in the QR code on the back gives you the same information that you would get if you would go to the website, so it's right there. Okay, so I'm going to show you I have my notes as well, so I'll follow through. So, Florida's in trouble. Very much so. That's the understatement, as we all know. But what I'm coming to the table with is new leadership, a fresh face, and a youthful inspiration that at this point we understand that I know how to go about things where to understand that we need to fight now more than ever. You know, we tried the roll and go type of mindset that's been going on for the last couple of decades, and now we're here at this point. So we're going to try something different this time, which brings it to me. So I'm here to change the game and usher in something new and fresh into the Democratic Party and push it forward and progress it. Thank you. So a little bit about me. As I said earlier, I graduated from Robertson High School 2013. I actually earned my bachelor's degree from American Intercontinental University online in 2017, magna cum laude. And we went in, I worked various jobs throughout my years, but I also, two jobs to me have been stood out to me. That's one was when I used to work as a bagger at McDo Air Force Base. I went to Tinker Elementary as well. Army family, so go Army. And and so really made sure to instill I learned a lot of things from the military veterans over there, a lot about life and a lot about what it means to actually sacrifice, so everyone else can live a better life and have a better nation. And okay, perfect. So and this election is pivotal for not only just Florida but the nation overall, because now what we're seeing is that if you are either for Trump and his foolishness, or you're not at this point. And for those of you who don't know, Thomas Massey recently lost his primary. He's one of the people that kind of pushed forward with the Epstein files to get those seen. And he lost his seat because of it. Same thing with Bill Cassidy as well. So and that's on the Republican side. So you can just imagine what kind of opposition that we're facing on the Democrat side as well. And so moving forward, I have my Bond's 5 points to help Florida progress and move forward. Next slide. Thank you. So rent reduction. Tampa is one of the second most expensive cities to live in the state of Florida. The rent has ballooned dramatically over the since COVID, and now it has driven residents homegrown residents in Tampa out of the whole state of Florida because they can't afford to live here anymore. Let me see this. You can see here the cost of living the cost of living in Florida has accelerated at nearly 5 times its previous pace over the last decade, driven by housing, insurance, and rent increases that are outstripping wages and forcing some residents to consider leaving the state. And just to let you know, they're not considering, they're leaving. Just so we're clear, they're leaving the state in droves at this point. It's been a mass exodus because, how can you afford to, if you can't afford to live in the state, which means you can't afford to eat in the state, you can't afford to have your children go to school or your children go to childcare. Childcare right now is another issue we're going to face, but it's a lot. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is living. And if you cannot afford to live here, then how are you supposed to afford your utilities or anything else at this standpoint? And so, what else is important? Oh, the renters are under pressure, and their Florida average rent has climbed from almost $1,200 in 2015 to $2,800 in 2025, and over an 85% increase over the last decade. And so it's very expensive, and you couple that in with how eggs have surged in price of the last decade. Childcare is another thing that has surged over the last decade. Everything seems to be going up at this point, but wages. And that's one thing that we need to focus on as well, and I will focus on as well as governors, to raise the minimum wage that we have in this state, because it's not allowing the Florida residents to actually live here and actually prosper and thrive in this state. Next slide, please. Okay, revitalizing education. So the education system in Florida has been lacking for a while, but I think as of now, people are now starting to take notice to just how bad it really is. So as of right now, I have an article here, Florida has an educational crisis under DeSantis and Republicans, with steep declines in reading proficiency, chronic underfunding, and massive teacher shortages. So, who's gonna teach your kids if the teachers are not in the classroom? So it makes a difference, because the teachers themselves, not only do they have to worry about, their lack of quality wage as well. I think Florida ranks 50th out of all teacher pay in the entire nation. So that's a major issue, because I feel like teachers will have more of a passion that don't already have it as well, because teaching is a calling, to be clear. It very much is a calling. But you have more of a passion for it when you come to work and you're being rightfully compensated for your time and for your efforts, because it makes a huge difference as far as to understand that, when you come to teach the children, you're understanding that you're pouring out, but you're getting some back as well. That's what's the point, to be able to fill others, but also be filled yourself as well. And going back to the state and how, we have a massive DEI crisis. Trump has made DEI a bad word. You can't say it anywhere. And the current governor has followed suit. You're basically outlawing it. From you saying it on campus, on college campuses, and in official memorandums and all sorts of things. So, which of course leads us to, if you guys remember, a couple months ago, a black FAMU law student was told she had to remove the word black from her Black History Month flyer. So, but it's like, well, you're at a HBCU, historical black college, and you can't even use the word black, because the college was horrified that the governor would come after them, through the attorney general, and how, of course, the sanctions will cut their funding. So that makes a huge difference as well. Next slide, please. The healthcare crisis. So the healthcare crisis in Florida has been going on for a very long time, but we also should understand too that DeSantis chose not to expand Medicaid for Florida. And because of that decision, a lot of people have fallen off coverage, or their coverage has been severely taken down. And it has caused a lot of unintentional, I guess in his feeling, intentional deaths to people, to where they're not able to get quality care within their given community. Florida, the rural Florida communities suffer from this as well because they've been able to only access emergency rooms in order to just get quality care for just checkups that you would only go to, like a follow-up and things like that. They have to go to the hospital. They can't just go to an urgent care clinic or go to a regular clinic within our area. They have to focus on going to ER for just maintaining visits at this point. And I also want to state as well, a critical healthcare crisis is brewing across Northeast Florida as well, as experts warn Florida could face a shortage of up to 60,000 nurses by 2035, which of course will impact our hospitals, as we all know. And it makes a huge difference in the quality of care when you go to the hospital, because people need to understand that they're not being taken care of if the people aren't there. That makes a huge difference. Next slide, please. The housing crisis. So the housing crisis is, Florida's shortage is structural and well documented. This is not a niche affordability issue. Roughly a third of Florida households are cost burdened, paying more than 30% of their income on housing. The point at which families begin cutting back on essentials like healthcare, childcare, and savings. And so, of course, the shortage is most acute in fast-growing metro areas such as Tampa Bay, Miami-Dade, and Broward. So, of course, that brings us to the most expensive cities to live in. So the top three are Miami, Tampa, and Orlando. Tampa and Orlando are switched. So Orlando's number 2, Tampa's number 3. And so with the housing crisis, the people are not able to afford to live, then they can't afford to stay here. And that's just very simple across the board. And due to a lot of the policies from DeSantis and Republicans, they've been able to officially price out people that live in this neighborhood and around Florida because they can no longer afford to live here in the state. Next, please. In childcare. Childcare is a huge issue in the state of Florida. I know I was watching a video today, and it was saying that according to the U.S. Department of Labor, families are spending up to 8 to 16% of their income on care for just one child. So you add that mixed with, the 30% that you have for your utilities and your place to stay, and you're well into the 40-50% of your income, and that's just off one job. So that's a major thing, as well as access to childcare is scarce as well, where people are traveling 45 minutes out in order to drop their child off, and that's there and back, and that's a major issue as well. Next slide, please. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Housing.
I'm sorry?
In 0708, there was a large quantity of individual family residences gobbled up by corporations. How is that going to be addressed in this?
For me, what I saw, first of all, thank you for the question, and you're absolutely right. The gobbled up from the corporations, for the most part, is that what they've been doing is using them as Airbnbs and using them as a way to basically make sure that we stay in a renter's world, so to speak, if you will. And so for what I would do to at least cease that would be to make them to where you have to actually stay in that residence in order for you to actually own that home. Because I feel like what's going on with a lot of corporations now is that they're buying up so much property, and if you go along just Tampa itself, you'll see a lot of developments and a lot of gorgeous buildings that cost $3,000 to $5,000 a month to stay in, which is why they're empty today. So if you can't afford to actually live in the place, you have a big beautiful building and no one's in it because they can't afford to stay there. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else?
So you graduated in 2013?
Correct.
I remember you now.
Yes, it's been a while. It's been a while. I'm 31.
I was out at USF today at the USF Health, and I was getting off the elevator, and this lady asked, "Mr. Filion, where do you remember me from?" Robinson High School.
Yeah, it's a lot of us around, but I'm glad that you were here today. 'Cause I really wanted to thank you so much for your contribution to me as well in the school. So thank you so much.
You got it.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I was listening today, and this is for any politicians that are in the room, but they don't have to answer it. But the Tampa Sports Authority was like 5-2, getting very close to the new Rays Stadium for $2.3 billion. And with all this corruption and stuff that's been in the state for so long, it was suggested that it would be very bad for tax for people in Hillsborough County. I mean, yeah, people would love the Rays Stadium over here and everything, but people just need to think about that also when they're like, oh, great.
Yes, I agree with that. For me, I personally think that it's, I don't mind, the Rays, being here, or, there was an article released, that John Morgan would like them to come to Orlando, so maybe that's where they should go. But for me, I think it's a bad idea for the Rays to take over the HCC school. I think that it's a distraction. I think that, students already have the reading scores are down off, across the board. So I feel like education is something that we desperately need in this state, because it gives children and young adults as well the ability to outthink their situations, and it allows them to actually think at a higher level. And I think that that's definitely more important than going to a Rays game, every other Sunday or Saturday for sure. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there, sir. Thank you. Anyone else?
I had another more important question. Alright, Rays is out there. But Ron DeSantis a few days ago just knocked out this climate change program down here in Tampa. Gutted it. I don't know what they're doing. Nothing. I know what they're doing, but what are you guys gonna do to try to help this out?
Yes, sir. So for me, I do, first of all, I very much appreciate the question. I do plan on helping out the environment for sure, and make sure that will be one of my priorities as well. I'm the kind of person to where I think that, we have to respect, our nature and things like that. I know that, for example, what you were saying earlier, and he said he signed that into law. Meanwhile, the Everglades is burning. So it's like, you don't even care about, and because the Everglades was here before you. So why would you go out of your way to make it even harder on the environment when you already basically did everything you could to destroy it in the first place, between the alligator Alcatraz disaster? That was, and now now they took over $1 billion to create that, and now they want to take it back. That didn't just happen at this point. So that makes a huge difference as well. So for me personally, I suffer from, sometimes I get I think it's allergies, but upon further research I realized that it's a lot of, when he did do that, I think added in there too was I'm pretty sure we succeeded from the Paris Climate Agreement regarding emissions. So with those emissions, that helps, kind of keep the air clean and things like that. And so when that was rescinded against, now everyone's just out here, the emissions have gone back to the point to where it's a smog over the city. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, you seem to get a lot of respiratory issues that kind of come out of nowhere. And you're not really, kind of in that environment, but you are in that because you're outside. So it makes a huge difference as well. So that's one of my priorities as well, to take care of that, because I feel like the air was a lot cleaner years ago, for sure. The respiratory issues that people have now that they can't seem to pinpoint exactly where they came from, more than likely it's the smog outside. That's been due to the current governor, ruining the environment, for lack of a better word. Anything else?
Can I ask you a question? I just have
Last one.
It's just a quick one. So you seem informed, obviously. So what are you doing right now? Because people aren't going to judge you by what you know. They're going to judge you by what you've been doing. Have you been involved in any community action? I mean, have you worked within the government? Have you gone to governmental meetings? Or, I don't do any of that stuff. I used to do stuff like that when I was much younger, but I should do it more now than then, right? But that's what I'd like to know. Where have you immersed yourself? What topic have you pursued or want to pursue in order to run and have people actually believe that you're a good candidate. I'm not trying to be mean, I just
No, I hear you.
think it's important that
It
you
is.
become involved, if you're not.
Yes, ma'am. So for the first question, I am involved, very much involved. I wouldn't have got myself to actually have the courage to file if I was not going to be involved within the community. So for me personally, other than answering the other gentleman's question as well, for me personally, my experience comes from ministry. I'm a former member of Without Walls Church International. I'm sorry, Without Walls International Church, and so we have a lot of it immersed myself into the community to where we went out, we fed the homeless, clothed the naked, and we made sure that we had a presence in our community. So I followed with that, and I do like my own things personally within that. I've been connected to other groups within Tampa, especially within the last year or two, trying to gear myself up for the governor run as well. And with my experience in life, I realized that what we need now more than ever is compassion and someone who understands what it is to take off their shoes and put on someone else's, and understand another person's life and their experiences to be able to help shape policy. Because as we see right now in Florida, the only opinions, the only shoes who matter is Trump's and DeSantis at this point. And even with DeSantis, he's not really even thinking for himself. He's just doing what he think he can do to ingratiate himself with the Donald Trump and the Donald Trump administration. So what I'm doing is to do my best to stand out and do my best to let people understand that we don't have to just keep on doing the same type of candidates, the same type of people, and just to actually change it up. Because at the end of the day, if we want change, then we have to be the change, and that's what I'm wanting to do, and that's what I'm wanting to make happen, and because that's what's important to me.
All right. Thank you, Stefan. Reminder, what's your website again?
Yes, website is, actually my flyers as well before you guys leave. Website again is www.sn4flgovernor.org.
Okay. Thank you, Stefan. And so it does look like we are still waiting for Representative Nixon. If she is still going to be able to join us, as soon as she signs in, we'll probably hear the speaker say something in the back, so we won't miss her if she does come in. But we'll go ahead and we'll turn it over to our next guest for the evening, Ben Braver, who is running for actually the same seat that I myself ran for in the 2024 cycle, House District 65. It's one of those districts that has the real opportunity to be flipped almost every year. And we're hoping that we're going to get there this year, be on the path that we need to be. Certainly if we repeat the efforts we saw in the Senate district, it's a possibility. And we have two exciting candidates at this time. I believe we have Kel Cameron, who we have heard from before. And now we have the opportunity to hear from Mr. Ben Braver. And so, without further ado, I suppose I'll...
And you'll hear from me as soon as the technology wants you to.
Yeah.
How's it going, everybody? While waiting, let me ask y'all, what issues do you want to see change in Florida? Does anyone have an issue that you really care about right now? Connie?
Housing.
Housing, absolutely.
Senior housing specifically.
Yeah, the cost of living for people with fixed incomes is horrible. The average rent rose by a third since 2020 and has just stayed there. It's been absolutely atrocious. Can I borrow this one, actually?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Now, I found that, honestly, when I tried to bring in my own HDMI cable from home, it would not work, so I still have to ask them for that one up front every time I come here, and for some reason, that one will work.
See, this is why we need young candidates who know how to fail at using technology. Oh, it was there for a second?
Yeah.
There we go. Let's get a round of applause for that. Thank you. Okay. I'm so confident.
If you want, I can do slides.
No, it's okay.
You got it? Okay.
How's it going, everybody? So, I'm Ben Braver. I'm running for State House in District 65, which is this area right here. It covers pretty much everything below 275, except for North Hyde Park for whatever reason, and it goes around the airport just to grab West Chase. I know that we're talking about gerrymandering here, and this is a pretty clear example of how exactly they want to gerrymander our area. How the politicians want to choose their voters, not the other way around. And we know that the state of Florida, our state house has been gerrymandered for a very long time. That's why we're in the super minority right now. But with the work that y'all did, we flipped this Senate seat here. We got Brian Nathan elected. And we know that the same is possible with our House seat. This should be a blue district. South Tampa should get the representation it deserves. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about myself. I went to King High School, I went to Benito Middle School, and I went to the University of South Florida. Go Bulls? Go Bulls. Now, while I was there were a lot of preachers out there who would yell at gay people, say, if you got an abortion, you're going to hell. And I decided I didn't like it when people attacked my community. So I went out there along with Planned Parenthood, and I grabbed my guitar, I sang over them, handed out free condoms, and I registered people to clinic escort at Planned Parenthood. And I registered people to vote. And this got me pretty thank you. This got me pretty popular on campus, handing out free condoms. It has a way of doing that for you. And I started being a big activist on campus. And when Ron DeSantis passed HB 999, which took away women and gender studies as a degree, one of the degrees I was getting, which took kids' private health information, trans students specifically, and made it accessible to the public, I decided that was enough. That was ridiculous. He was invading our education space, taking away our freedom to learn whatever we want, our freedom to think whatever we want, our freedom to love whoever we want. And that's why I got about 5,000 other people to walk out with me on the same day in 2023, February 23rd, 2023. We had incredible organizers from all over the state and every public college campus across the state. We spoke out with one voice for our education system, for our right to learn what we want, to think what we want. We got on MSNBC, they told me I was the only one allowed to come. I said, that defeats our entire purpose. We're about diversity. No one person can change our state alone. So I forced them to let me bring on Rep. Escamani, who is my first favorite, besides Rep. Nixon. Thank God she's not here to hear me say that. But we got on MSNBC, CNN, all this place, and we got DeSantis to back down a little bit on what he was doing. Because public pressure really does work. From that, I became the director of state and local policy for the Young Democrats of America. I worked with groups like the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Poor People's Campaign, do a lot of great work. And then while I was a teacher here in Tampa, my state senator, Danny Burgess, tried to introduce a bill that would let kids work till midnight on school nights. Pretty atrocious, horrifying. And it made me sick to my stomach that nobody was running against him. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and we got 105,000 votes, shifting that district 1 point to the left in 2024, when everything shifted 9 points to the right. And the way that we did that was through door knocking, was through talking to people face to face, and was through a lot of social media. My generation, luckily, is pretty good at social media. And over the past few months, I've gotten 4 million views alone on my account. And when I go out canvassing in public, I see people who recognize me from my social media videos, from my account. This stuff is really impactful. It really works. And it's why we're able to run such a big campaign with a smaller budget. But besides that, I want to talk about a little bit of my time as a teacher. These were kids at Busch Gardens on a field trip. And I was shouting them out trivia questions in the line so they wouldn't be screaming. It didn't really help. They were still screaming. They're still middle schoolers. But one of the questions I asked them was, when did women get the right to vote in Florida? And one of them said 1776. Unfortunately, we know that's not the case. One kid said the 1400s. He wasn't doing so hot in history. And then we had another kid said the 1800s. Unfortunately, it wasn't that close. Anybody know what year it was? 1920. And here's the thing. These kids, most people alive today, don't really understand how hard it is to win these rights. All the struggles that people before us went through to win them. But they are seeing how easy it is to lose our rights. They're seeing how representatives who don't represent us are pushing them down. They see the disparities in their schools. I only worked at Title I schools when I was a teacher. And I could see the difference in how much money these kids got. And I realized there's only one thing we have to be. We have to be braver. We have to work for these kids. We have to work for our communities. We can't let it be taken over by people who don't care about it. And so for the rest of my presentation, I'm gonna bring you through a few key issues that are happening in Florida and how we can solve them, as long as we're braver, as long as we actually stand up for our people. Now, my 3 key policy points, it's really hard to condense them into 3 points, because we care about everything, and almost everything impacts everything. But really, education, fixing our criminally underfunded education system, lowering the cost of insurance across the board, specifically expanding Medicaid, and then ensuring we have real government accountability. I'll tell you more about that one in a second. But first, let's get into education. So as a teacher, this is something that really impacts me, of course, and as Stefan talked about earlier.
Excuse me, may I have your attention, please? Would the owner of the silver Honda Kona please come to the front desk?
If that was any of you, I'm gonna be very mad.
Silver Honda Kona, please come to the front desk. Thank you.
Okay. As we mentioned earlier, we have crazy low pay in the state of Florida. On average, $56,000 a year. You can't raise a family on that. It's really hard, especially when costs keep on increasing. And yet we haven't seen any real movement on this. And what we're seeing is huge amounts of burnout. If you've listened to Chris Taylor, he does a really good job on teacher attrition. John Masters over here had a great panel with a lot of educators, people care about education policy, and he gave a great speech on the teacher attrition in Florida. And when 31% of teachers have less than 4 years of experience, that's a big problem. We have teachers in the room right now, Angela right there, got you right there, and they'll tell you, teaching's kind of hard. It surprisingly is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And as an early teacher, I know the first few years of experience I have, a flip switched. I suddenly became a better teacher after my 3rd year because I learned you didn't have to yell back at the kids. You could just be silent. That really works. But you really need that experience. And when teachers aren't getting paid that, anybody know the raise you get as a teacher every year besides our teachers? $200.
And that 2%.
And that's not even guaranteed. Our union has to fight for it every single year. And is the union doing well? Is that going good, guys? No. They are attacking the unions like crazy. Now, if you look here, that should actually say $5 billion drain. Right now, it's not $4 billion anymore. It's $5 billion of our public tax dollars that are going to private institutions, that are going to private businesses. And the state funds that you get, that the localities get from the state for an education is $4,000 per student, just about. The amount a private school gets per student is $8,000. And the amount of vouchers that have been given out have been increasing every year, up to 500,000 vouchers a year. That's not the worst part of it. How much money do we give per voucher? I just said it. Anybody remember? $8,000. Now, how do we give out these vouchers? Does anybody know? You do apply, and a private company, Step Up for Families, gives you the voucher. And they take 3% of every voucher. Can anybody do the quick math for me? No? What's going on? That's $120 million a year we're giving to another private company to let another private company take our public tax dollars. Does that sound right?
No.
Absolutely not. And remember about this, because in a little while we're going to go over exactly why this happened and why we need better government accountability. Who knows what schools of hope are? They're using this private companies, private schools, using space in public schools. Now, this became law a while ago, but it wasn't as bad. It was just near public schools you could put a private institution. Then they changed it. After a huge amount of donation money came in last election cycle, they changed it at the last minute to be you could go inside a school. A private school can now take space inside a public school.
Without paying rent?
Without paying rent.
Or you mean?
without paying for the fields you're using, without paying for the custodial staff, without paying the administrators, the bells, etc. that change. It's horrendous. And I was working with the school, Piso K-8, which USF unfortunately is evicting from their land, raising their rent by 900%. And the thing is, there's a middle school campus not far away from us, Adams Middle School, that we could be sending the kids to. And Angela, why aren't they?
They're saving it for cohabitation space.
Yeah.
There's a lot in for it, yeah.
And because if they did move the kids from Piso into there, there'd be so much unused space that they'd be forced to let Schools of Hope invade and take up more of our money. And so this is really pernicious, this is really bad. The good thing is, we could just stop it. We could just end it. We could claw back that $5 billion going to our private schools and give that back to our public teachers. For less than 1 cent in addition onto the tourist development tax that we don't pay, that tourists pay, we could bring teacher pay up to the national average, boost it up 20 points. We could eliminate our school meal debt across the state, bring teacher pay up to the national average, and fund a full day of VPK. Right now, does anybody know how many hours of VPK you actually get in the state funds? 3 hours. Is that a full working day? No. So what are we doing here? We're giving kids 3 hours, but nothing more. So parents can't actually work a full working day. We have to expand that to a full day of VPK. We have to claw our money back, and we have to get real teachers who have experience in this state and who want to continue working here because they don't get burnt out. Additionally, we can feed 2.1 million more kids in Florida by just getting money from the federal government. It's there, the summer EBT program. It's still there, even after all of Trump's budget cuts. And we're not getting it. One of the best things we did for my students every day was give them snacks right as they were leaving. It was fresh fruit, fresh vegetables that were locally grown. It was incredible, the way they would light up. A hungry kid is not a happy kid. It's not a kid that you can physically educate. And just tapping into federal dollars will help feed 2.1 million kids. But there are, of course, many more ways our state isn't actually tapping into the federal dollars that we need. How many people in here know about the Medicaid expansion that we can do? Okay, so there's actually a good number that don't. There are 800, no, we can still get it. Even after all these cuts, we can still get the millions and millions of dollars owed to us. Who here paid their federal taxes? Who here wants their money back? We paid that money. It's ours. We should get it to pay for our Medicaid, to pay for our health care. But what did Ron DeSantis say? What did our legislators say? What did Karen Pittman-Gonzalez say? No, you don't get your money back. You don't get the health care you paid for because this is ridiculous, and we can fix it. Now, I don't want to spend all our time on healthcare, because trust me, I could spend a lot more time on healthcare. But if you've met me, and I guess most of the people have so far, you know that there's always one thing I ask any person I meet. What do you want to see change in Florida? And the answer I get almost every time is everything. The second most common answer I get is overdevelopment. And I want to scare y'all just a little bit. This is baseline 2010. But Project 2020, or Florida 2070 projects that this is how much development we'll be seeing in the next few years. Completely destroying the waterways, completely destroying our natural wildlife corridors, destroying the ecosystem that not only makes Florida as beautiful as it is and makes it what it is, but allows us to live here. We have less than 100 days left in our aquifer in Tampa Bay because we've been in the worst drought in 25 years. And what do they want to do? Build AI data centers to take up more of our water, to make our energy prices skyrocket even higher. Which, by the way, I can talk your ear off about solar energy as well and how much we need to invest in that. But we need to stop the overdevelopment. This is the map of Florida population growth. Does anybody know what happened right around here that caused our population to explode?
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning. And then right here in 1968, when we had about 6 million people in the state, was when we established our Constitution. It was also the last time we changed the number of representatives we have. Did the number of people that we have change? Yeah, it quadrupled. And yet we still have this same number of representatives. So we've gone from a district of 50,000 people to 200,000 people. Of course you're not gonna be able to know your representative. Of course you're not gonna be able to talk to them. And of course, big money is gonna have a lot of influence. And that's the problem we're all feeling. We don't feel represented. We feel like billionaires are being represented. We feel like the donor class is being represented, but not our actual values. And gerrymandering, something we spent a lot of time talking about today. If we capped our district sizes at 100,000 people, which is still twice as much as it was in 1968, that would take a lot of the gerrymandering out. Because, do I want to go all the way back? Yeah, all the way back here. This map, instead of going around get West Chase, although I'm very glad that you're in my district and I'm happy to have you as a voter, it wouldn't have to be like that anymore. We could have maps that make sense, that don't swing around to grab random voters to make it easier for a Republican to get in charge. Oh, a little bit too far. Now, another big reason we need to cap the number, or to increase the number of representatives we have, is to limit the amount of lobbyist interest. This is Ken Griffin. Has anyone heard? Well, he's not up here. Has anyone heard of Ken Griffin before? He owns a bunch of private schools up in New York, and he said, wouldn't it be a good idea if we could put those private schools inside of public schools in Florida? And so he paid, $28 million to contribute to candidates in Florida to make sure they could change the School of Hope bill that we talked about earlier. That's why it is the way it is, because Ken Griffin was able to spend $28 million to buy the votes he needed to earn that $120 million. Although that goes to a different company, Stand Up for Families. But the corruption is palpable, is blatant. But if we were to increase your representation, then you would have a more direct line with your representative. They wouldn't only be listening to the donors, or at least not as much. Also, who likes the petition system in Florida? Or who wants to be able to vote on petitions in Florida? Yes. I voted to, no, actually I was too young at the time, but we voted to make sure that felons get the right to vote back. We voted to make sure the minimum wage went up. We voted to make sure that we could get an abortion and there was recreational marijuana.
Voted for fair districts.
And then our representatives didn't listen to us because they don't care. And they stopped our will, the will of the voters. We need to take back, so what changed was it went from 50% plus 1 is what you needed to be able to get a petition passed, to 60% plus 1. You also need a $1 million bond to even get started collecting petitions. Does that sound like democracy? No, absolutely not. Now, the last thing I'm going to do today, this is my endorsement for Congressman Graskin. I'm going to show you why he endorsed it. And it's because I care about policy all day long. Economics is my bread and butter. And so, unlike any other teacher you've had, I'm going to ask you to take your phones out and scan the QR code. It's going to take you to my website, where there's a link to this website in the policy page called realtimeinequality.org. This is actually data that the government doesn't want shown. They specifically don't produce this data in the BLS reports or in the labor reports because it makes them look bad. I'll show you. Does everyone want it have a scan? So if let me just show you my website real quick. So if you go to benbear.com, I designed this, I really like it. If you don't like it, too bad. But there are tabs on the bottom that you can click on, and so bring your policy, and right up here, real-time inequality data. And please look through this. I love my policy. If you care about it, please look through it. But it brings us to realtimeinequality.org. And this is one of the scariest graphs you will ever see. So this line represents the bottom 50% of income earners in America. So we can see that they dipped into negative wealth, that on average, the bottom 50% of people had negative $22,000 in wealth during the Great Recession, which makes sense. Today, the bottom 50% of Americans have about $4,800 in wealth. That includes their car, that includes their house, so really, most Americans don't have anything in their bank account. Now, let's look at the next 40% of Americans. Look at that gap. From the bottom 50% only have $5,000. The next 40% have an average $577,000 in wealth. 2 orders of magnitude larger. But Let's just include the next 10%. Suddenly that gap between the bottom 50 and the 40 looks like almost nothing. And we see the top 10% have on average, there are 19 million people in the top 10%, they have an average $6.6 million in wealth. Let's take in the top 1%. Whoop. Please. They don't want to be seen. And look, the difference between the bottom 50 and the top, or the next 40 look almost the same. The next 10 is pretty similar. And let's just jump up to the 20 richest Americans, the 0.001%. Right here. And we all look exactly the same in comparison. And who can tell me when these huge wealth disparities really started?
Reagan.
When Ronald Reagan attacked minimum wage for inflation. Trickle down economics. Does it look like it's trickling down to anybody?
Yeah.
Kind of looks like it's trickling up, right? Here. This is why, look, let's take a look at the 0.0001%, the 200 richest people in America. Every single person you know is down here with us. We all look exactly the same, the 20 richest people. Even the 200 richest people look minuscule in comparison to the 20 richest. This is why rich people feel poor when they look up to them. Because it's the same difference between someone with $4,000 in total wealth versus someone with $500,000, right? The bottom 50 versus 40%, as the top 200 richest versus the top 20 richest. The reason I'm showing you this is that all of our problems are solvable. All the money is there. We're just letting it go into fewer and fewer hands. And when we understand the government has to work for us, when we understand that we can't kowtow to the party leaders and to the donors, and that we have to be braver, we can build a better society. And I want your help with that. And you can have my website, benbraver.org, because we really can build a better Florida. And I need your help to do it. We have an incredible volunteer back there, Mason, who's doing a lot of work, basically turn this place into a recording studio. Can we give him a hand? As a Democrat and good human, I generally believe I should pay people for their work. In order to do that, I need your help. To be able to pay my volunteers. To be able to get more flyers like the lovely ones you see on your table tonight, and to be able to do more events. If you look on my website, you can go to our calendar page, and you can actually, events right there. We have events almost all the time, and you can add this calendar page right into your Google Calendar. You can literally just subscribe to it so that it'll all automatically show up in your calendar. Are there any questions about my policy? Yo.
Not your policy, but
or candidacy in general.
No, I know what you're talking about, like USF, when they were about to name Alumni Drive after Charlie Kirk or something because we wouldn't for Ron.
I actually had the chance to debate Charlie Kirk when he came to USF. Debate's a strong word. I beat him, I completely destroyed him. But it was funny because I was talking to him and I go, look, dude, you want the education system in Florida to be underfunded because you run a misinformation machine. You want critical thinking not to be taught because you don't want people to think about what you're saying. And you know what his response was? Yes. What's a woman? Oh yeah, tell me what a woman is then. Yeah, ridiculous. Yes?
So they gerrymandered the federal congressional districts. Have they done the same with the state?
A while ago.
A while ago, not this year.
So it's been gerrymandered.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a particular question. Your Republican opponent, Karen Gonzalez Pittman, has enjoyed a historically strong relationship with education organizations in this district. Do you have any particular approaches or plans on how you're going to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I love that question. Thank you. So Karen actually I was eating at the deli, the gourmet deli, you don't know it, up street.
Right.
Rice. Thank you. I was eating there and she came up to me. She saw my shirt on and she said, "Oh, hi, how are you doing? Why are you running for office?" And I said, to fully fund education, to lower the cost of insurance across the board, and to make sure we have real government accountability. And she says, I really care about education, and that's one of my top priorities. So I said, well, we're giving $5 billion of public taxpayer dollars to private institutions. Did you vote against that? No, I didn't vote against that. But I did ask our leadership to increase the amount of funds going to Hillsborough County, which didn't happen. And so I said, okay, yeah, it looks like we shouldn't have Republican leadership in here. And then she said, well, look, I need something else. I proposed the Teachers' Bill of Rights. And I said, okay, that actually sounds like a good policy. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna look that up. And I looked it up, and all it does is increase teachers' ability to send kids to detention. That's it. You know what we need? We need protection for our planning time. We need protection from getting evicted from our schools. We need a yearly raise that's more than $200 and will actually happen every year. We already have the ability to create a school to prison pipeline. That's already there. And all she cares about doing is strengthening that. And that's what I say to our HCTA, who I've had a very strong relationship with.
Great, appreciate it.
Yeah, John.
It's not a question as much as going back to education and some of the way we're not funding it now. Our good friend, the state auditor, who decided that Hillsboro's wasted a bunch of money, also can't find $270 million in voucher money they can't account for the kids in.
Were you at Tiger Bay Club the other day?
Yes. No.
Oh, you were? Yeah, somebody really got him on that, and he just, yeah. Alex, the former CFO, also had a really good question for him. Mike.
Hey, first of all, I love the logo Be Braver.
I appreciate it.
As you know. But the second question is Janelle Irwin Taylor with Florida Politics in this big puff piece on Bob Buckhorn and how money in politics is the only thing anybody who's in politics should be paying attention to, because it's the only thing that drives voters, and if you have all the money, you are the winner, according to Janelle Irwin Taylor in her paid piece with Peter Scord. So my question to you is, how do we get around Janelle Irwin Taylor's political philosophy that money in politics is the end-all, be-all?
I love that question. I'm surprised I didn't pay you to ask me it. But there's one big reason why there are two big reasons why that's even the dominant theory in politics. The first one is we live in a money-hungry world. Since Citizens United, money has played an outsized role in politics, so there's an element of truth to it. You can buy seats. You can enough misinformation, disinformation, and just horrible BS in there to potentially win a seat. The flip side of that, and the other reason why that's the dominant theory is because I want everyone to think. We know back in 2016, Bernie versus Hillary, Bernie really got screwed over by the DNC because the donors wanted Hillary. No, maybe Hillary would have won it anyway. I can't change history. But we know that donors have an outsized role in both parties. And they want people to think, oh, we can't vote for who we want in the primary. We have to vote for whoever's electable. We have to vote for whoever already has the most money, because they're clearly the only choice. And that's because that's who the donors had already chosen. That's the other main reason why it's there. But the only way to get rid of that is to prove it wrong. Last cycle, when I ran against Danny Burgess, I moved that district 1 point to the left. I got 1/10 of what he had. And every single other district in my area, every seat that I was running conjointly with, shifted 9 points to the right. The reason I was able to change that is because I'm good at talking to MPAs. I have very strong political views. I really do. But I'm also able to talk to people in a way that gets them to agree with me. And MPAs, they don't like Republicans right now. And if you ask them what they want to see change, they will give you good answers if you give them the space to. So it's a really key way to do it. Also, social media. It's free. I mentioned earlier, I got 4 million views, and I can track which of those are from within Tampa. And it's free. And I'm getting a lot of name recognition out there just from doing that. So that's something you have to be skilled at. It's not going to happen for everybody, but that's just another tactic that doesn't cost money. Yo.
So I have a question about vouchers. I know how they exist in there. I want to know why, it's my thought, and what I've heard, is that no one audits vouchers. So they have, when they hand these families $8,000, or I guess, what, $6,800 at that they have no clue, is that correct, what happens to that money? I mean, like, if you take that $6,800 and you give it to Christ the King private school, do they give you a receipt that you turn into somebody?
So actually, if it's going straight to a private school, that's easier to track. But a lot of the waste, fraud, and abuse, I sound like a Republican, a lot of the waste, fraud, and abuse is coming from homeschool. I was over at, yeah, of course. So additionally, a private school can take your kid, take the money, kick the kid out, and keep the money. Where a lot of, that's horrible. But within the homeschool specifically, no, that's not tracked. I went to the South Tampa violin shop. They were telling me about so many parents came in there with their kids' entire homeschool voucher. Now, that's not the worst, because if they're paying for musical education, that's better. But some people buying rings, taking their kids on Disney cruises.
And I live in a big military neighborhood, so this family happened to be military. But one of their big claims to fame was they had 3 children, and they were homeschooling them. They weren't. They rode scooters all day. But they bought a motorcycle. They bought a Harley because they had $24,000, and they bought a really nice bike. And what was interesting is when they moved, those vouchers follow them because they're a military family. So when they move from, Florida to Germany or whatever, that goes with them.
Yep.
Those don't stop. Florida keeps paying that, which if they were using it for actual education, but they weren't. And they thought this was the greatest thing ever. So, just saying.
Yeah.
When they remodel the bathroom.
Do they at least have the kids do it?
No, I'm telling you, the kids rode scooters all day. So.
I had 2 coworkers.
Yeah.
Did not realize that charter school was taking money away from public schools.
Yeah. One other.
Get up and I laid it out to them. And these were Democrats.
Yeah. One other big
They
problem.
came back and they threw their kids out to go back to the public school.
You can do maybe one more question.
So one other big problem is that if you go to a private school, you lose your access to a free and appropriate public education, which a lot of people don't understand. But the public school system even pays for that. They still can send people out for special needs. And we have time for one more question, if anyone has one.
One more.
You already got one? Did you want to go?
That's a comment.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a federal thing. Like if I was, because all these people down here in South Tampa, a lot of these white bougie people don't give a crap about anything but their money or anything. But this Central Command and Special Operations Command, these people are the most novice admirals and people down there, and they're causing billions of dollars in an illegal war. I'm just saying that.
I think it's definitely Trump, Stephen Miller, and Mark Rubio that are causing this. Now, something else to say is, guess who McDill voted for in the special election?
Brian Nathan.
Brian Nathan. Yeah, McDill Air Force Base voted for Brian Nathan because they don't like this. Like the Army soldiers don't want to be in Iran right now. They don't want to be fighting foreign wars for oil when we can get the free energy of the sun that's falling on our head all the time.
He also called every NPA veteran.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a great candidate.
All right, well, everybody, please, let's give it a round of applause for them. I really appreciate you bringing such clarity on the income equality issues and the education approach. It's really wonderful to hear. And folks, I know that we have had a history of running a little long in these meetings, so I do want to try to quickly get back just to the main points. There's not too much more to cover, just for our new business coming up. So for next month, our guests are going to be, we're going to have Hillsborough County Democratic Executive Committee Chairwoman Vanessa Lester. We're also going to have Pamela Gard Castellana. Some of you may have met her. She's occasionally shown up at the South County Women's Group, and she does head the state outreach coordination for the entire Florida Democratic Party. So those will be the folks that are meeting on June 17th. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to really sharpen and hone how we're going to be working together to be effective as we run into these midterm elections. Event announcements. I believe we do have at least one member who wants to make an event announcement. Go ahead.
So thanks to Ben for mentioning our education program at Hyde Park United Methodist. That was a great night. If anybody's interested, I can give you a card with a QR code. We streamed it, and so the archive is up on the Hyde Park YouTube channel, so you could go watch it then. Great night. We had Karen Perez, we had Chris Taylor, we had a fascinating professor from USF, Dr. Bill Black, who studies education policy. That's what he does. He's very, very interesting in Damaris Island. But anyway, after we do those, I ask our speakers to always give people a call to action, right? And it's always, unfortunately, reach out to your legislators or your elected officials, whatever the issue is. And then we hear from people that, I want to do something, and I know I need to, but I've never done that before. It's a little intimidating. So we've done this before, we're doing it again. It's a citizen engagement training. Now you folks are engaged. You're still welcome to come, please do. But I want you to bring friends and other people that you hear that from, that I don't know what, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. Because that's what we're doing. There's some little flyers on the table. I got some. Everybody that shows up is going to get a nice little booklet like this that happens to have the contact information for every person who's elected to any office that covers Hillsborough County in here. And plus some sample letters and scripts and all kinds of information that will help them get engaged. Even got a section on how to track bills on the website for the legislature. So, and if you see me, I'll give you a card with I love QR codes. I'll give you a card with a QR code where you can download a PDF version of it if you want it. But again, I know you guys know all of this, but bring people that can. It's free. We're going to serve pizza. Bill Carlson is one of our speakers. Clay Hollis from Tucker Hall. Damaris Allen, who if you don't know her, you should. She's an outstanding lobbyist for public education. And Tom Scherberger, some of you will know that name, is going to be our moderator that night. So you don't even have to listen to me for most of the night. So again, it's at our Platt Street campus. So please, you're more than welcome to, everybody's welcome. This is not religious in any way. I'm sure we'll have a prayer at the beginning, but that'll be about it. So bring people that have told you that. I want to do something, but I just don't know what, and I've never done that before. This is your chance to come find out how. Also, I did, since I bothered to get all that contact information, invited every single one of those people who is an elected official, specifically and individually, to be there. Kathy Castor said she will come, several others of the county commissioners and a couple of the city councilmen have, but I even invited the city council people from other cities. So that's kind of my chance to create sort of an elected officials petting zoo.
Absolutely.
So people can actually talk to them while they're there. Don't know how many of them will show up, but some will, because it's an election year. So of course, if there's a crowd gathering, they'll show up, right? So you might get a chance to talk to some of them. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, John. Yes. Unfortunately, I have heard from her staff. They were asking me whether or not she was able to sign in, and I told them no, and that we would love to still hear from her. We have her set up, but and I do just want to remind everybody about Betsy's phone bank tomorrow night. We mentioned it once earlier, but it is an important opportunity. That one is also up on our Solidarity.tech calendar already, so you can view the details there. And do we have any other announcements? Yes?
If I may, I just wanted to give Ben Braver a huge shout out and a thank you. He's done so much for Pizzo and trying to help us save our school from being evicted from USF. And he's actually connected us with so many people in the community. He's like, here, call this person, they'll help you. And they truly all have, and it's been so nice. So I need to say thank you, Ben, publicly, because
Yes.
So just one thing, 30 May, let me back up for a second. Ben brought up overdevelopment. So the rural community has mobilized against overdevelopment in a big way. Pinecrest, Lithia, Stop Two Rivers overdevelopment. Online, they go to the county commission meetings, they drive all the way through rush hour traffic to stop it. You're asking, why does this involve you? Two Rivers in particular involves the development of the Thomas Ranch, which is 3,900 acres that sits on the headwaters of the Hillsborough River, which is where you get your water. We all know overdevelopment's a problem. One, I would encourage you to reach out, support that community. They're online, they're on Facebook. I'll push the information to you. You're all in Hillsborough County, and all the county commissioners at large are running for re-election right now. In that vein, the Two Rivers community is hosting Dr. Manamela as well as Eileen Rodriguez on 30 May at Center Place in Brandon at 4. I'll push you the details. You're welcome to come. This is a rural community wanting to meet their candidates face to face and discuss what's on their mind. It will be part of a series of Meet the Candidates that will be going on throughout the election cycle. Unfortunately, Republican candidates will not be there for the town hall because they are having a fundraiser that night. And trying to get Republicans and Democrats in the same room is like trying to host a family reunion with the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah.
It takes some doing, but that's where they're driving. It is, for the rural community, this is a nonpartisan issue. This is their way of life. For you, it's your water and your taxes. I don't know how we're going to pay for Ray Stadium and all the infrastructure required to develop Two Rivers and put in, right now, Two Rivers is zoned for 700 homes. They want to expand that to 1,800 homes. And that's your property taxes. That's the only way to pay for it. So, and it's your water. And we'd all love to have a golf course on the Hillsborough River so we can dump those nitrates into our water and then pay more in taxes to filter it out. So I'll push
this event is going to be on May 30th, you said? And if you can send the information by email to the South Tampa DC at Gmail, we can add that to our calendar. And do we have, are you, all right, and are there any, I think I see another, yep.
And just really quick, I want to just let everyone know that, I know you've probably heard it on the news and other places, but everyone has been in this mindset of supporting young candidates to office, such as myself and Ben, and others as well. And I just want to tell you that please donate to our campaign, please support us. The gentleman over there was just talking about, the candidates that are in support of taking out those Two Rivers and all the overdevelopment things that are going on right now. And all those things that they are doing is because they are currently in power. And so if you want to change that, as Mike told me, is changing the game, then the best thing to do is to support us, support our campaign, and make sure that we get put in a place where we are able to make those changes and make a better life for all of us. Ben's being brave, I'm changing the game, so we can do it together.
And then we've got one more back there.
I might trade back because Andy could have made it. She's a good friend of mine. I'm not endorsing anybody in this race, but I just want to make a statement since she can't be here. Because what's happening in this country, especially in the South, I'm from Chicago, and I mean, you know that. But I sat with Angie a couple of months ago, and what I told her, and the same thing I told Justin Pearson and Justin Jones when I sat down with them. These are the civil rights leaders of our era as they rip apart the Voting Rights Act and disenfranchise black voters with gerrymandering their districts, ripping apart their votes. We have seen a lack of interest in leftist movement in this country for our Black community, for our marginalized communities. Angie has been in Tallahassee for 8 years, and even in her own caucus, she has been locked out of the cafeteria, burned out by her own Democrats and the Republicans around her, and she has been marginalized day in and day out. About a few days ago, her, Matt Graholski with the Progressive Caucus and Cy, sat in the governor's office and all got arrested, protesting civil rights. I love Angie for what she's done there. I love our activists in Florida, but as a northerner looking to the south, my question is, and I'm gonna be a little bit blunt because there's no kids in here, where the fuck are our leaders and what the hell is happening in this country where we're letting them roll back civil rights and we're all sitting in rooms not saying a goddamn thing? It's time for us to start paying for some buses and to start going up to Tallahassee and not leaving. So, that's my answer.
Interested in charging a Tallahassee bus for this club than paying $2,500 for a gallon. That's yes.
Yeah, Moms Demand Action is having a Wear Orange, Stop the Gun Violence.
Yes.
It's on a sign.
Protest, yeah.
On June 5th, it's a Friday at between 4 and 6. And you wear orange, you bring a sign. It's at Ashley and Kennedy, and they're going to light up the bridge orange on that night. So yeah, please come out.
All right, everybody. So it is 8 o'clock, a little after 8 o'clock. Doing my best to get you out close to on time. Thank you all so much for a wonderful evening. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to approach me. Thank you for being here tonight. Thanks